Hello everyone, and welcome to DevWave Diaries. Here, we dive into the latest web development trends and coding techniques. If you're passionate about tech and eager to learn, you're in the right place. Today I am going to show you how to create an eye-catching circular menu or circular navbar. First, let's add the Cloudflare Font Awesome CDN to our HTML code. This will allow us to use Font Awesome icons easily in our project. To do this, search for Font Awesome CDN to your web browser. I'll also share the link to the CDN.js website in the video description so you can access it directly. Once you find it, copy the CDN link and paste it under the link tag 2 of your HTML file. Next, let's create a div tag with the class container to hold our content. Inside this container, create another div tag with the class menu. Within this menu div, add an input element with the type set to checkbox and give it the ID toggle. This checkbox will serve as a toggle to determine if the user has clicked the button. Additionally, add a label element and set its for attribute to toggle and give it an ID of show menu. This setup allows us to detect when the checkbox is clicked, which we'll use to trigger menu-related actions in our code. Next, inside the label element, create a div tag with the class btn. This btn div will act as a visual button that the user interacts with when they click the label. Now, let's open the Cloudflare Font Awesome website. You can explore the various icons and can easily integrate this into your project. I'll be sharing the link to the Cloudflare Font Awesome website in the video description for your convenience. Next, search for a plus icon on the website. Once you find it, select the icon and click on it. The icon's HTML code will be automatically copied to your clipboard. Next, move to your HTML code and paste the icon inside the div with the class btn. This will add the plus icon to your button, enhancing its visual appeal and functionality. Now, let's create 6 menu items by copying and pasting the btn div element. You can quickly do this by selecting the btn div and using the shortcut Shift plus Alt plus down arrow to duplicate the element. Repeat this until you have 6 identical btn divs, each representing a different menu item. Next, let's search for other icons on the Cloudflare Font Awesome website: Pinterest, Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, GitHub, and Instagram. For each icon, copy its HTML code and paste it into one of the btn div elements. Replace the existing plus icon in each btn div with the corresponding icon code. This will give each menu item a unique icon, representing different social media platforms. Please wait a moment while I copy and paste all the icons. Once that's done, we'll proceed to the next step. Now that we have selected all the icons we need, go ahead and close the browser. Open the website, and you will see a checkbox alongside all the icons that we pasted into the HTML. Now, let's move to the CSS. Start by adding the CSS boilerplate to reset default styling. Set margin and padding to 0, and use box sizing, border box to include padding and border in the element's total width and height. Next, style the HTML and body elements. Set their width and height to 100% to ensure they cover the entire viewport. Apply a background color of #000 for a solid black background. Now, style the container div. Set its width to 100% and its height to 100 viewport height units, DVH, to cover the full viewport height. Use display, flex to enable flexible box layout, and apply justify content, center and align items, center to center the content both horizontally and vertically. Next, let's style the menu div. Set its width to 7 rem, height 7 rem, to define its size. Use position, relative to allow positioning of child elements relative to this div. Apply display, flex along with justify content, center and align items, center to center any content inside the menu. Finally, add a border of 2 pixels solid white to outline the menu div. Open the browser, and you'll see a box with a white border in the center of the menu div. Inside this box, there's a checkbox. The icons are not visible yet because their colors are by default, set to black, blending with the background. We'll need to adjust their colors to make them visible. Next, let's add some style to the btn class div. Set its width to 4.5 rem, also set height 4.5 rem, giving it a circular shape by applying a border radius of 50%. Use background, #SF1 to fill the circle with a light gray color. Open the browser, and you'll see that all the btn div elements are now arranged in a column, each one styled with a circular shape and a light gray background. To improve the layout of the buttons, add display, flex, justify content, center, and align items, center to the btn class div. This will center the icons within each button, making the design look more balanced. Open the browser, and now you'll see the icons perfectly centered within each of the div elements. Next, add position, absolute to the btn class div. Set top, 50% and left, 50%, then use transform, translate, -50%, -50%, to center the divs exactly at the middle of their parent container. This ensures that each button is precisely positioned in the center, no matter its parent's dimensions. Open the browser, and you'll see only one btn div element in the middle of the box. This happens because the other btn elements are now positioned underneath this div. Add overflow, hidden to ensure any overflowing content is clipped. Set cursor, pointer to change the cursor to a pointer when hovering over the buttons, indicating they are clickable. Finally, add transition, all 0.3 second to smoothly animate any changes in the button's properties. To make the icons larger, select them using .btni and set their font size to 2 rem. This will increase the size of the icons, making them more prominent within the buttons. Now select the first btn div, which contains the plus icon, use the selector .btn nthchild 1. Then, set its z-index to 1. This will ensure that the plus icon is stacked above the other buttons. Now open the browser again, you will see the plus btn div is set to top. Inspect the button in your browser and select the second btn div element. When you add top 100%, you'll notice the second div element moves downward. We'll use this property to create a click animation that shifts the buttons into position when the menu is activated. To proceed to the next step, first take a look at the image provided. It shows the desired positions for each btn div element. We'll use this reference to set the appropriate position for each button, ensuring the menu displays correctly and aligns as intended. Now, let's add CSS to adjust the position of the menu items when the checkbox is checked. Use the selector input checked backtick show menu.btn nthchild 2 to target the second btn div when the checkbox is checked. Set its top property to -30% to move it upper side. Open the browser and click the button. You will see the second btn div transition into its new position with a smooth animation, as specified by the CSS. This visual effect will indicate the menu activation. Next, copy the CSS style applied to the second btn div and update it for the third btn div. Change nthchild 2 to nthchild 3 in the selector. Set its top property to 0% and left property to 130%. This will position the third btn div according to the image when the checkbox is checked. Copy the CSS style applied to the third btn div and update it for the fourth btn div. Change nthchild 3 to nthchild 4 in the selector. Set its top property to 100% and left property to 130%. This positions the fourth btn div accordingly when the checkbox is checked. Copy the CSS style applied to the third btn div and update it for the fifth btn div. Change nthchild 3 to nthchild 5 in the selector. Set its top property to 130% and remove the left property. This will position the fifth btn div as specified when the checkbox is checked. Copy the CSS style applied to the fifth btn div and update it for the sixth btn div. Change nthchild 5 to nthchild 6 in the selector. Set its top property to 100% and left property to -30%. This will position the sixth btn div as specified when the checkbox is checked. Copy the CSS style applied to the sixth btn div and update it for the seventh btn div. Change nthchild 6 to nthchild 7 in the selector. Set its top property to 0% and left property to -30%. This will position the sixth btn div as specified when the checkbox is checked. Next, remove the border from the menu div element by removing the line border 2px solid white. This will remove the border from the box. Open the browser, and you'll see a clean button with no border. When you click the button, all the menu items will appear with a smooth and beautiful CSS transition, showcasing the dynamic layout and animation effects. Now, let's add a glowing effect to all the btn divs except the first one with the plus icon. Use the selector input checked backtick hashtag show menu.btn not nthchild 1. Apply a box shadow with values 0010px hashtag sf1 and 0020px hashtag sf1 to create the glowing effect for the remaining buttons. Open the browser and click the plus button. You'll see all 6 menu items appear with a glowing effect and a smooth CSS transition, creating an eye-catching and dynamic visual presentation. Add a transition property with a duration of 1 second to the first plus icon div. This will ensure that the transition effect on this div is smooth and visually appealing. To add a transition delay to each btn div element, start by selecting the second div using .btn nthchild 2. Set its transition delay to 0 second. This will ensure the second button's transition starts immediately. To add transition delays to each btn div element, copy the style applied to the second div and update the selector and delay for each subsequent button. Set transition delay as follows. For the third button, set transition delay to 0.1 second. For the fourth button, set transition delay to 0.2 second. For the fifth button, set transition delay to 0.3 second. For the sixth button, set transition delay to 0.4 second. For the seventh button, set transition delay to 0.5 second. This creates a staggered effect where each button's transition starts slightly later than the previous one. Open the browser and click the plus button. You will see the menu items appear one by one with a delay, each with a smooth and beautiful transition effect. This creates a dynamic and engaging visual experience. Now, let's style the plus button when the checkbox is checked. Use the selector input check tilde hashtag show menu.btn nthchild 1. Set its transform property to translate -50%, -50%, rotate 225 degrees. This will rotate the plus button and reposition it, creating a visual effect that indicates the menu is activated. Open the browser and click the plus button. You'll see plus button rotate while all the menu items appear one by one, each with a smooth and beautiful transition effect. This creates an engaging and visually appealing interaction. Also, add a title attribute to the plus icon div element. This will create a default tooltip effect that appears when the button is hovered over, providing additional information or context for the user. If you enjoyed this tutorial and found it helpful, please give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to stay updated with all our latest content. Your support helps us create more exciting and valuable videos. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode of DevWave Diaries.